Hey guys, we're back again for week 3 of online learning. I hope you're doing well and excited to read some more of our play. Okay, so giving you a lineup of what is included in this PowerPoint. First, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to give you some due dates, and then I'm going to recap scene 6 and 7. You guys did a really good job on those handouts. There's just a few things I want to make sure that we're all on the same page with, a couple of questions that I was getting some mixed answers for, so I'm just going to clarify a few of those questions and make sure that we're all good on those. And then we're going to move into scene 8 and 9. And I'm going to give you some guiding questions to help with that. So before we get started, I just want to make you guys aware that the grades for third quarter are going to be finalized this Wednesday, April 8th. So if you have any assignments you haven't turned in yet or anything that you didn't send me a picture of, I need you to get that into me by Tuesday to make sure I have time to put it into focus. If you need any of the work, any of the worksheets, handouts that we've done, any of the stories, reach out to me and I will get it to you. In scene 6, we have Blanche and Mitch coming back from their date, and she's acting all strange and being very standoffish and tells him that she has these old-fashioned ideals, meaning she wants to remain pure and take things slow with him and give off this impression that she's this innocent woman who hasn't really been experiencing things with men before. So then she asks him point blank, though, if he wants to sleep with her tonight, but she does it in French because she isn't able to be upfront with her desire. She can't just come on to him because is that ladylike? Is that pure? She has to keep up appearances, and a lady can't be engaged in that sort of relationship with a man, especially during, the 40s and 50s in America. So that time period is important. And so then we also have her rolling her eyes when she tells Mitch this. He can't see her, but she's rolling her eyes because she knows that she isn't this pure, innocent person that she's trying to appear to be. And then in scene 7, we have Stanley bringing some potential truth to light. So she was just seducing a young boy in the previous scene, some random newspaper boy. She's kissing him. And then she allegedly gets in trouble and loses her teaching job for being involved with a 17-year-old boy. She allegedly gets driven out of Laurel because she was bringing so many different men back to her hotel room at the Flamingo that they were like, you gotta get out of here. And then, so why is she lying to Mitch? Why is she trying to keep up this appearance? It's because this whole time she's been in New Orleans, she's been trying to maintain this facade that she's a very ladylike Southern belle, but all of those previous things prove she's lying. If she really got kicked out of Laurel for bringing too many men back to her hotel room, and she gets told she has to leave her teaching job because she was involved in a relationship with a student, none of those things are very ladylike. So something I want us to think about is whether she's lying to these people, if she's lying to Stanley, Stella, and Mitch to deceive them, or if she's lying to deceive herself and convince herself that she's better than she actually is. So why might she be trying to convince herself? What could be driving that delusion? In scene 6, we find out that her husband was gay and that Blanche told him she was disgusted by him, which ultimately led to him killing himself. So Blanche has to carry around a lot of guilt because of this. This is where some of that light imagery comes in. So up until this point, we have Blanche being in the dark. She puts a paper lantern over the light to shield herself. She turns the lights off in the room to keep it dark when Mitch is over. She doesn't let Mitch take her out unless it's dusk. And the only time she's been seen in the light is in scene 3 when she's standing seductively in the light, showing herself to the men during the poker night. So it's kind of related to her desire when the light comes into play. But the next time is that she's in the light is in scene 6 here when she's describing the love between herself and her husband, and she describes it as a blinding light before the stage directions describe a headlight glaring into the room. So at that point, she's just uncovered a truth about herself, and this is something central to who Blanche is. Her young husband took his own life, leaving her alone, but also because he was attracted to men, this gave her some sort of complex where she craves the attention of young men. She's seeking to return to the time when she was in love and felt happy. So, some things that she's been doing so far to escape her reality, she's constantly drinking. We know she has a drinking problem. She's bathing all the time. So, she's in the tub trying to escape her reality. She's lying to other people about why she's there, her age, the state of her affairs. And she's creating this fantasy world for herself of being a high society lady with strong morals. And she's kind of portraying that to multiple people, everybody in Stella's neighborhood, and then also, to Shep in the letter she's trying to write. And it goes beyond that. I think she's trying to convince herself of that. So those are some important things from scene 6. In scene 7, it starts off, it's Blanche's birthday. Some time has passed since the last scene, and Stanley says he has the scoop on Blanche and tells Stella that she's been lying about why she's there, among other things. So he does this for a couple different reasons, mostly because he desires that power. We've seen him asserting his power throughout the entirety of the play, and this is just another way for him to do that. So Blanche has come into his house and talked badly about him to Stella, and he's trying to prove his dominance by showing he has power over her, and she shouldn't be messing with him because he can ruin her and the facade that she has been building up this whole time of herself as this very ladylike person. So he also ends up telling Mitch about these things, and I asked a question about why he was doing that, and a few of you guys picked up on it, but he's trying to show that he has control over another aspect of Blanche's life. So he already has control over her family by controlling Stella, but now he has control over her love interest as well. He has control over her image because he's going around telling her business to different people, including Mitch. And he's also showing the power over Mitch at this point because he's exposing all of these things to keep Mitch away from her. And we've already seen him kind of dictate some things for Mitch as well, in showing that he has power over him during poker nights and telling him that, he needed to get back in the room and things of that nature. So he's trying to gain back control in all aspects. He wants to control Stella's opinion of Blanche at that point, but also the opinion of everybody else around her. And then we see at the very end of the scene, Blanche seems to kind of feel that shift in the dynamic when she gets out of the bath, and she's claiming that something had to have happened because there's this weird feeling in the room now after she has bathed. All right, so this section is some guiding questions for scene 8 and 9. If you haven't read those scenes yet, it does contain a few spoilers about what's going to happen, so you can either read the scene and come back to it, or if you don't mind getting some information spoiled beforehand, you can listen to these and they will help you ultimately answer those questions on the scene 8 and 9 handout better, and also be able to understand the content and how it relates to some of the themes we've been talking about. So scene 8 starts 45 minutes after the last scene, so it's after Blanche has finally emerged from the bathroom, and she, was obviously accusing Stella of something being off. So in those stage directions at the beginning of scene 8, what is the vibe in the room at this point? I want you guys to look for some specific words or phrases in the opening of the scene that help you feel that vibe and kind of the dynamic between the characters. And then Blanche goes on to tell this story about a parrot. So a couple of things. I'm asking you to try and figure out how that story can be symbolic. So things that can help you with that are looking at who is the main character of the story and what is the name given to that character, and who has this phrase or name been used in reference to in the story so far. And then just think about the bird and what it does. Why is the woman hiding the bird, and how could that situation be symbolic of one of our characters? So then, after Stanley doesn't really react to Blanche's story, Stella calls him a pig. Why would Stanley get so upset at this? And just think about the conversation that took place between Stella and Blanche in scene 4. What are some of those things that Blanche was comparing Stanley to? And then how does that relate to the pig comment now? So after Stanley here's this pig comment, he obviously overreacts and throws his cup and plate to the floor. Does Stella go out and confront Stanley about his angry outburst with the plate and cup? Does she go out there and, tell him he's disrespectful, he overreacted? Does she even bring up his angry outburst at all? And then what is actually her main concern when she confronts him on the porch. So then when Stella comes back inside, she talks to Blanche, and Blanche is all distraught and freaking out about Stanley and what he may have told Mitch. And based on the previous scene, what is Blanche worried that Mitch may know? Why is she freaking out about what Stanley and him would have been discussing? And then finally Stanley comes back in, and he complains about the heat from the bath, and Blanche says she takes hot baths for her nerves. What is she so nervous about? Why would she need to take these baths all the time? And a lot of you picked up on it in the last scene, but is she actually trying to clean herself, like get fresh and pampered and smell and look good? Or is she trying to figuratively cleanse herself and escape the realities of her past? We know she has a lot of things on her mind, things that she's dealing with, and guilt that she's carrying around. So is her bathing related to that? And then Stanley, the great guy that he is, he goes on to present Blanche with her present, which is that Greyhound ticket back to Laurel. Why does he claim to have purchased the ticket for Blanche? He gives Stella a couple of reasons why he did it, and what are those? So with scene 9, Stella and Stanley are at the hospital, so Blanche is all alone in the apartment again, and what is she doing? She's drinking. Again. While hearing some music that only she can hear in her head, and now she's trying to drown it out by drinking. Does this seem like a mentally stable person who is in touch with reality? I don't know. You decide. So also, I want you to make note of what kind of music this is. When else have we heard this music? What is it always in relation to? There's a certain situation or topic that is always brought up when this music is heard. So then Mitch comes, and what does Blanche immediately do when she finds out it's him at the door? She's done this before. Why does she do it? And then what is Mitch's response to Blanche? Is he being nice to her here? How is he talking to her? What kinds of words is he using? What is he being described as doing in the stage directions? Is he being himself? What's changed? How has he changed from scene 6 to now in the way that he talks to her? And then the two start arguing over the light in the room, and Blanche asks why he's so concerned with the light, and he says he wants to get a look at her good and plain. Does he mean literally looking at her? Like, does he really want to see her in the light? Or think about the things he's been told about her and how they differ so much from the image she was putting on for him. She was pretending to be this innocent lady. Meanwhile, she was involved with a lot of men back in Laurel and had a relationship with a teenager. Is he saying something deeper about seeing her? Then he proceeds to rip the paper lantern off the light, and Blanche screams and gets very upset. Why is she so upset by this? And what has the paper lantern been doing for her that it's no longer able to? So then Blanche ends up admitting that the things Stanley accused her of were true. She tells Mitch the reasons for having done all of those things. Why did she do them? What motivated her to behave that way? Really think about what she went through that made her behave that way. And then Mitch accuses her of having lied to him, and she tries to refute it, saying that she didn't lie in her heart. So think back to scene 2 when she said, "I know I fib a good deal. After all, a woman's charm is 50% illusion, but when something is important, I tell the truth." That's when she was talking to Stanley about Bellerive and said that, she tells the truth when she is approached by somebody about it. What is she claiming the truth is with her situation with Mitch? What's the truth there? And then Blanche goes off into this really crazy dialogue, and the Mexican vendor can be heard in the background saying flowers for the dead. Who is the dead being referenced, and why are those lines placed in between this really crazy, dramatic, unstable speech of hers? How do those two things relate? And then while all that's going on, we have Mitch grabbing her by her waist and saying he's trying to get what he's been missing all summer. Is this like him? Why has he changed the way he's treating her? And, why won't he marry her now? Those things are all kind of related. And then we have, him getting yelled at by Blanche to leave. If he isn't going to marry her, he's not going to get what he wants. And then the scene ends with Blanche again alone and hysterical.